Hello everybody, a new video again because I have something to say about a product I'm starting to use. I'm Daniel Okkeloen and today we are going to talk about a dual charger for the FZ100 batteries. And the product we are talking about is a smallrig 3824, which is a USB powered charger for two of these batteries. Now, I know in the past I've used quite a lot of smallrig products. I've worked with them to design certain things. This one I just bought, and I want to point out that I think this is part of their product line where they are basically licensing another brand's product or another co-designer, not sure how they do this, and release it under their own brand. So you can find this in the different names. So smallrig is one of them. I'm not sure if the batteries, for example, are exactly the same or the unit is exactly the same. But I've decided to review it and to get it because it was one of the options at my local shop, which I liked for the features. And also because I know smallrig, so at least even if it is a clone or co-development with certain other brands, I know that I'm getting the smallrig support, which in my case might be a little bit more than some other people. But if you in your local shop can get smallrig and they already sell many of their cages and L brackets and other things, then it might be a good choice to stick with this brand. So I will unbox it, although I've already opened it, and show you kind of what it's how it's packed up, and then talk about the batteries and the unit itself, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and also show you how I'm using it and how it quite technically display is built up, because I think that's kind of one of the most interesting points. So let's open it up and see what's happening. So it's a good looking case, not normally they will put something in a brown case. In this case they put it in somewhat a real case. Now this is not official anymore in that I already opened it up before. So there's a small manual inside. There's two batteries which are normally in a piece of packaging, and this one's a piece of packaging, and this one also. I'm not putting it back. So yes, two batteries, two holders for batteries, and the charger itself. So let's first talk about the batteries, because these are interesting in a way. So let's first take all the parts out. And there's the charger. And then move away the packaging. So yeah, the batteries, let's talk first about these. So I have no idea what brand batteries there are. They're probably some kind of a clone. We don't know anything about the quality. And that's the first thing that I would suggest to smallrig to do, is to also provide the charger separately. The logic here is quite simple. If I'm using my expensive camera, so for example, this one, which is quite an expensive camera, it's the A1, I will not use any other brand than the official one. Some people might have another view, that's fine. For the few like $30 or $40 more, 2 or 3 batteries that you have to have extra because you're getting one with the camera, I will not use any clone batteries. And I already noticed with this battery that although I will not say anything about the quality, I've never found a clone battery to be a same long lasting as the original ones. And also I already noticed that in the Sony charger, these behave differently. They tend not to cut out at the same moment. So they definitely have another charging curve. That might not mean anything. I'm not going to risk it. So the two batteries that they included with this nice sort of protection part, never seen it and will not be using it because I don't think these parts can be damaged that easily. These pins, I always use them without, never had a problem. But these two batteries are included. They don't have any markings on it. Of course they have the same charge as the official ones. There is all the information on it that you might want to know. Again, there's no branding on the unit itself, so they can just put a sticker on it and it will be the battery they are using. So we have no idea where this is coming from. Might be good, might be lesser, I don't know. So removing these two and moving on to the charger. And let's first talk about it. Why I want it compared to the official charger. The official charger, let me also get that one really quickly. You can see that it's already bigger. It only allows for one battery. And more important, it's heavier. So this is about, I think it was 68 grams. So it's extremely light. And you can see already, because I flipped it over, that it already holds the USB charging cable. And of course the official one, although it is faster, is you need to put it on 220 volts or 110 volts. Which means that this is heavier. One battery, you need to have power. That means that you can't charge it from a USB block, which I think is an important thing. Again, like with the previous video, I want to keep things small in my bag for traveling. So I want multi-use and I want to be able to use it also, in this case, from USB batteries, because then I can charge inside my bag, which is important. And also, again, don't need to take this bigger, heavier unit with me. Now, I must say before I forget, before we get into it, this seems to be charging at about 1500 milliamps max. This one for one battery seems to be charging at about 1 milliamp max. And I'm saying max because I will get back to that. It has to do with the curve, but you can do two at the same time. So in a way, this one is slower and faster at the same time. So if you're charging two batteries from zero, that basically means that this will be loading, giving you 1 or 2 amps of extra power. Well, this one will give you 1.6 amps of charging power. So in a way, one battery will be faster, two batteries will be faster in this one. So it really depends how you look at it. I would advise with a modern Sony camera that you have at least 3 batteries. So one is in the camera and you have 2 backups. That's what I do. But the old ones I would use have 5 or 6 batteries. I think I've never had more than 2 needed, 3 always as backup. So in a way that's quite nice. That means you can always be charging 2 batteries, either from normal power or from USB. We'll get back to that. So let's talk about the unit itself and about the features. So the first thing I don't like, so let's start with what I don't like, is that I strongly feel that the display is the wrong way around. Why am I saying this? Because if you put batteries in, then of course it will be blocking your view. So this is upside down, right? The letters will pop up the wrong way. So you want to have it like this, but then the batteries are blocking you seeing the battery. So if you put them on a table, you actually have to look over the battery, which to me doesn't make sense. Makes way more sense to put it like this. So they should turn the display around so that you can use it like this. First complaint, what I would change on the battery charger. The second thing I would, is still very, feels quite sturdy, but also very empty, which is good because it means that it's extremely light. So let me put it in the picture. It's very light, which is good, of course. It's smaller in every dimension than the official charger, so that's good, and we can charge 2 batteries at the same time, which is good. Now the power supply, if you want to say it like that, or the power cable, is sort of built in, so it doesn't take extra space. And it has 2 ways of charging. First one is the USB A and the second one is the USB C. Now one thing I would like to see changed, I understand that they maxed the USB A out at 2 amps, so 1 amp for each battery. I don't fully understand why, if they're using USB C, why they don't allow for more charge to go in, because then they could have a higher curve like the original charger, which would be a bonus. I also think the USB-C, because it still feels quite empty, to be fair, they could have designed it either in this area or in this area into the body itself. So if you connect a plug, let me quickly do that. it would not stick out as much as it does now, right? It would be much nicer if it would be something like this. Once you plug it in, right? So once you, and I think this is doable because all USB always have the same thickness. Most of these plugs are about the same thickness. So they could design it basically more hidden into the body. Why is this important? Well, because if you are charging in the back, which is one thing I would like to see, this one is not sticking out. It takes less room, but even more important, if you hit it, it does not give much problems. The second thing that I would like to see is, again, in this dual usage metaphor, if I can use one device for multiple things, that is nice. So what I've never seen that, but I don't think there's a reason why this not be possible, especially if you're feeding it over USB-C, is it has to convert internally to 8.4 volts, because that's the way that the battery is charged. Now, that is enough voltage to also power the camera. So I would suggest, and I think there's more than enough space in here to allow on this side to have a power plug. So they don't want to put it in USB-C because that might confuse people, but I would like to see a round power output that you can use to power the camera. So of course you have to have a dummy, battery plug with a cable on it, and at the end it would probably end in around a 4mm or something plug that you can plug in here. Again, dual uses, because then this charger could also be used as a way to power your camera internally or with a battery replacement. And I think that would be quite a nice option, and it does not cost much, and it would add to the functionality. So let's go to the next step and power it on. So it's interesting because here you see my problem. I want to power it up, and I will do it like this, but I will also flip it around because otherwise you can't see what's happening. So I have to flip it around, and I will look at my screen and see what the result is. And one thing which is nice, if you put it in, even without power, it already tells you how much charge is in the battery. Now it only gives you the voltage because this probably has to do with the way that they build it. But if you know that a charged battery should give you 8.4 volts. So if it's 8.4 volts, it's basically full. If it's less, then it will slowly go down, and that's basically your battery charge. At around 7.2 volts, I think the Sony cameras will not be able to function at all, or it won't be doing most of the stuff, so it will probably shut down. Depends a little bit on different cameras and what you're doing, but that seems to be the cutoff point. I have not tested how much voltage it actually gives me if I put in a total empty battery, but yeah, we will do that soon, and maybe I will put it in the comments. So if I put it in, one thing which is nice, what you see, it shows you the battery power for a few seconds. So I have to take it up. So in this case it says 8.4. So this battery is full. So you can already use this, and I think this is lovely. You can already use this as checking how full your battery is, right? So if you plug it in, you see that the display comes up and it tells you the voltage 8.4. So I can take it out and just check my other batteries and see that this one is probably not fully charged. 8.22. So this one is not fully charged. It's quite full, but not totally full. So even without and of course, if we put them in both at the same time, it will show both. It will take 5 seconds for the first one and 5 seconds for the other one, channel 1, channel 2, and then slow down. But you can see why I think the display is the wrong way around, right? Because it makes more sense if you put it down, or if you're looking at it, to actually have it like this. I know it's a small thing, but and for all kinds of reasons makes more sense, because also their own logo will be better. What I also think is that if you put it in, it now shows you symbols of channel 1, channel 2. I think purely a graphical thing, it would be nicer if they do a cutout of the shape of the battery around it, right? So because then you also know which battery it is, because you know which one is like this and which one is like this. So I think actually that could also be a little bit more of a design thing. But a really cool feature that you can already check your batteries kind of without plugging it in. And that means that you can quite quickly use this to test if your batteries are correct, right? If you have 4 or 5 batteries, it's quite easy to figure out which one is at 8.4 volts and full. Of course, it has to power this from the batteries itself, which is fine, but that's probably why it's not doing much, just showing you the voltage. So let's get going. Let's take them out again. And we will use, to start, this USB-A connection. One other thing that I would like to see, before I forget, because I might forget some things, if you want to charge into the battery, if you want to charge the battery into a bag when we are having it with us, which is really nice, one of the main reasons why I demand it be USB powered somehow, is that I will use a tie wrap around, not a tie wrap, but a Velcro strip around this to basically hold them down in my bag, just slightly so that they can't fall off. I think this could be very well designed into the unit itself. They could kind of design a rubber band over here, right? So like this, and that you can take it off and you can actually put it on top, so that you basically be able to pull it out, and you can see if they rotate it, you can see that will totally work, that you can sort of put it on top and then it will be locked in slightly. I think that would also be a change that they can do on the outside. So this is quite nice. It allows you to put the cable flat. Let me show it from the top view. Right, you can see you can just flatten it out, and yeah, let's give it some power. So I'm using, and that is important, a power block. This is a big one. It provides me with both types of output. Of course, I'm now going to put it in a USB-A socket. Click it on a little bit and you can see that it's now providing me power. And you can see already on the unit, if we go to the top view, that it shows you a small signal that it has power. Of course, it's not doing anything. It will, I guess sometimes it will flicker all his displays. I think it does that the moment that you plug it in also. So it kind of check if all of your display things are working. Now, if you put in the batteries, stuff will happen. So we put this one here. I have to look at the display a little bit, so I have to turn it up. So I will probably do it like this and then hold the camera. Again, all because of the way that they, in my opinion, designed it wrong. But you can see if I charge it, that this one is on 7.23, and you can see it started to charge, right? So let me talk about what's on display. You can see that we only have one channel going. And again, I think they could design this little symbol. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see now it's charging 170 milliamps. You can see it's already at 8.28 volts now. And you can see, and this is quite nice, the third number, hopefully you can see this. Let me turn it around and hope you can see this. It now has charged 0 milliamp hours, right? So I've not seen that before. Maybe that's totally normal now, but you can actually see how much you have put in the current time that you're charging. So if you put it in, you can after an hour see, for example, that it has charged 1000 milliamps. So in this case, you can see it's putting in 170 milliamps. I will get back to why this number is so low. You can see the voltage at the moment, 8.28, and you can see how much power it has put in, right? So let me also add the second battery. And you can see what should be happening is that it goes to channel number 2. There it goes. That one is totally full, so you can see that's 8.4, right? And the other was 8.29. Now, what is a little bit tricky here is that you don't see this number move at the moment because it's already trickle charging. You can see that it's only putting in 180 milliamps, and the other one is off because it's on 0. You also see that the main signal of charge is basically these 4 little rings that are around that part. So you can see that this battery is full. It's confirmed by the full power and by the amount of voltage that we have. But we see on channel number 1 that it's actually charging about 300 milliamps. Now it decided to go up, not sure why. But you can see, and you can also see that it now put a little bit of power into this battery. So it's already delivered 1 milliamp. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that's also fun. So let's go back to the top one. I'm not sure if you can actually see this. I can try to zoom. No, I can't zoom in any further. So let me put it here so that you don't get any weird shadow. It's kind of explained in the manual. So there is a manual. I find it less than perfect. Basically only this part explains a little bit. And I also think they should put the manual online, because we all like to have manuals online, and smallrig has not done it. It's kind of, normally they don't do much electronics, so they don't put the manuals online. Please start doing that, because it's easier to find back and to read. Again, you see the irritation that I have to look over the battery to be able to see it, right? So if we go to this view, the battery is now basically like this for me. And that does not make any sense from the display point of view. So I have to look, basically turn it up a little bit, and even then I can't read it. But you can see that it's charging battery number 1. There it is. And it's already put in 5 milliamps. So what is nice about it, if you're practical about it, is that I'm either charging it in 1 or 2 ways. So you can charge it, of course, using a power brick, right? So power brick, you can use USB-C, also in the port we have shown on the device. Don't use them both at the same time. They warn for that. So you can either use a USB-C output and a longer cable, or you can use this really short built-in one. This, for example, might not work that well in your bag, because you might have your USB block in a different location of your bag, and this sort of hiding in another location. So this might be too small, so you use a USB-C cable, which makes perfect sense. I also think, of course, you can now directly power it from the wall. Or the third option, which I kind of like, it depends a little bit on your USB block. I can power the USB block while from the outlet while it's charging the battery, which gives you basically charging, because it doesn't use that much power. You will be charging your USB block, but also charging 2 batteries. So I think that's nice. And of course, since it has more output, you can also charge other devices. So your laptop, your phone, whatever, right? Again, for the same reason we talked about, I would not charge, because that is a logical question, I would not charge my battery inside my camera. For 2 reasons. A, I closed up the side. It's more work to take it off. I don't like it. I prefer to take the battery out and put it in a charger and flip it around. Of course, now I can charge 2 at the same time. So, and the other reason is also, I kind of don't want to use these connections, more work, but also the power goes through the camera, which should be okay, but I kind of, if I can avoid it, I don't do it. So also you have a little bit more security, because if you're using, so don't have your own power charger with you, or your own USB-C, this has to be hooked up to USB-C. If you don't trust the charger, it makes more sense to risk a device which is about 30 bucks. So this one, without the batteries, probably will be the price. It makes more sense to risk that than to risk, in this case, 7,000 euros, 7,299 euros camera at the current prices. Again, it's a practical thing. And of course, if you're charging in the camera, then you can't use the camera, so this makes more sense anyway. So let's look a little bit quickly again at what we are doing. You can see that this one now is charged 12 milliamps. So let's talk a little bit about why this number is so slow. So one battery is not charging at all, and the other battery is now charging at 329 milliamps. So what it did is, and you can probably see that if I remove it, and give it a few seconds because it will probably reset. So I will take the other battery out because that one is full. Of course, if I use the official Sony batteries, that's also nice to test. So these are official ones. You will see, I hope, that both are... Oh, actually, there is one that's kind of empty. Oh, I kept that one separate just to make sure. So you can see one of them is full and one of them is empty. No, not empty, but it's on 8.27 volts. So it's already, which is, it also shows you already that the official batteries react differently. Because look what's happening. I will take out the one that is full, which is channel number 1. So what you're seeing is that even if this one is quite full already, at 8.29 volts at the moment, so I'm not sure what's the best way to show you, probably like this. So we'll look at my own display. Yeah, you should be able to read it like this. This is probably the best angle. So you can see that it's charging this battery. It claims that it's 2 rings, so it's already up to 8.3 volts, which is more than enough power, so they are good voltage. But you see that it claims that it's actually quite empty. It's now just went from 2 to 3, so they claim it's now up to higher than 50%. I will put it in the camera and we can check. But you can see, which is an important part, that it's now charging at about 1000 milliamps, so 943. And that's the important thing, because what you will see, that it follows a curve, just like your car or your bike or your phone. It does not always charge fully. It charges about 75-80%. It ramps up and then it slowly goes down and it goes into a trickle mode. And you can see that happening because this one claims to be 50% full, so 55. So it still feels that it can fully charge. Well, if I'm using the other one, which was almost full, forgot which one it was, but let's assume it's this one. Yeah, it was this one. You can see that this one is already in its last quarter, so it's 75% or more. You can see that it starts to trickle load. So trickle load, this case, means only 10%. And that's why I made the remark that if you have 2 empty batteries, or at least below 50%, this one will actually charge faster, 2 batteries at the same time, right? So combine the charge, put more energy into the batteries than the single charger, although the single charger is quicker. But you can see this one is already in its trickle phase, and if I put this one next to it, you should see that it's now combined, putting in, it will take a second to figure it out. So in the battery number 1, it's putting in, it's rethinking, 861, 850, and the other one it puts in about 130, 140 milliamps. Why? Because battery number 2 is already in trickle cycle and the other one is going full blast. It deviates sometimes. So in the combined batteries, I'm putting in about 1.1, 1.2 amps, so 1200 milliamps. And you can also see, of course, that the charging goes a lot quicker. So the one that, because I put it in later, well, we can take them out. And then we will finish this video. I'm thinking if I want to say more, but put them both back in and they will figure out what the state is. So this one is charging at 921 and the other one, it now decided that that one is full, which is interesting. Could have been just on the edge, but it signals that this one is full. So what we will do last is take out this one. And you can see that this one is still charging. And just to see if it's semi-correct, you can see that this one is now claiming to be on this 1, 2, 3, so between 50% and 75%. I think because this is so nerdy, I would suggest that they also put a percentage there, or make it at least, I don't like the rings, I think it's a little bit gimmicky. I think that could have been done better, because now I have to think more about what we are seeing. So let's take this battery out and put it in the camera and see what the charge actually is. And just for the fun, take this one out and put that one in here. And put this battery into my camera and check where it's at. It's a 71%, so indeed it's in its third ring. It probably will overblast a little bit, but it's not. Oh, you do not see it in this mode, but now you can see that it's a 71%. So the indication was correct. It's probably not the most precise in the world, but it should give you a good idea. So, well, let's see if this one was indeed full. Yeah, of course, once it detects that it is full, after a few minutes, if you only have one battery or both batteries in, the display will go off and it will go into sleep mode. And of course, in this case, my power bank also goes off because it detects that there is no power being supplied, which kind of makes sense. So that one is now full. We'll put it back in here and see if that one is indeed full. Yep, it's at 100%. And close up my camera and I can start shooting with it. So put this one back in and see what's happening. Of course, it now turned off my USB block. So this one is already in its trickle phase. So this is kind of interesting because it claims, and it tells you a little bit about what is happening. It might go up, yeah, it now goes up a bit. I also wiggled it a bit. So 834, so still kind of in its full charge mode. It's actually kind of interesting because this one now claims that it's in 50%, while in the camera it tells me it's 71%. So you can see how imprecise these indicators are. They're always a bit precise. So in many ways, knowing the voltage of the battery is more important, because this one claims that it's kind of, well, I'm at 50%, while the camera is claiming, using its internal logic and voltage, that it's basically already into the higher percentages. So that's kind of interesting. We'll leave this one in while it is charging and see if it fully charges up. So that's kind of it about the video. Of course, I've talked for 32 minutes about a simple battery charger, but if you're interested in this one, you probably scrubbed around and looked at the different. There it goes into 70 again. So it might also be a combination of how long it's in the battery charger. That's why I find it interesting that it also shows you the milliamps, what is put in, which gives you probably a better indication about what's happening. So yeah, quite a nerdy sort of display, which I think is a good thing. It also fits smallrig a bit better than other brands in that you can see what's happening, because if you are using cameras and batteries a lot, you know that you want to check the voltages which is coming out. And you also want to know how much milliamps you're feeding into the battery at any moment, so that you know at which state it is, right? So the official loader, right, it only shows you 3 bars, and you have no idea how quickly it's charging. You also have no idea what the battery health is and what the battery voltage is at the moment. So you don't see what the drop-off is. So in a way, this provides you with more information. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Hopefully this was useful for you. Again, it's half an hour of talking about a simple battery charger, but it's a good solution to be able to charge in your bag while you're out. So the idea is put it in your you're shooting your camera, you have 2 batteries, put on the USB, while you're walking around you're charging 2 batteries. That's why I'm using a little bit of a Velcro strip to hold them down. So if you move, you don't, the battery is still sort of in its charge mode. That works fine, in my opinion. and you're always able to charge your batteries. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.